meat inside.
Right.
Why?
Because it had to be inside
The blood was brought
In front of the boat.
No,
into the Kodesh and sprinkled towards what? The Parochet. We're talking about heavy duty sins. If the Kohen HaMashiach had made a mistake, or the Nasi, or the Sanhedrin, and therefore those Chataot were called Chataot Pni Mi. Chataot Pni Mi Yot. One more time. Chataot Pni Mi Yot, where the blood was brought inside the Kodesh, sprinkled towards the Parochet, 7 times dipping his finger. And then it was sprinkled on which particular Mizbeach? The Mizbach HaKetoret. Excellent. And then it was brought outside to be sprinkled on the outer Mizbeach. Very good. That's called Chataot Pnimiot. Now, we want to talk about Chatat Chitzonit. Chitzonit, obviously from the word Chutz. Meaning it's going to be a regular sin offering. Do you remember the rule? When will a member of Israel be obligated to bring a sin offering? If he violates a lav, a mitzvah lo taseh, that could be punishable by karet, and he did it unintentionally, called shogeg, intention, very good, then he's obligated to korban chatat. So the Torah first talks about, in verse 18 here of chapter 6, follow the reading. Daber el Aaron ve'banav lemor zot Torah chatat. Law number 1, b'mkom asher tishachet ha'olah, tishachet chatat lifnei Hashem, kodesh kadeshim hi. At the end of the pasuk we're told what severity, what level of holiness this is. Just like Olah, just like Mincha. And that was the Ramban's reasoning why God put it in this order and didn't go to the Shlamim, for instance, because Shlamim is a lower level called Kochei Kalim. But this is Kochei Kodeshim. Very good. Now, does anyone know, we didn't mention it last week, which particular area of the courtyard is the slaughtering done? It's done in the north side. But Tzafon. Tzafon represents the material side of the land of Israel. When you're coming to come closer to God, you're basically saying, I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to acquiesce. I'm willing to give up some of the material life in order to come closer to God. I'm willing to take my assets, my resources, these animals, and bring them as a sacrifice. That's how Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch explains in his commentary on the Chumash, Raphael Hirsch, in his commentary.
But why the north side?
So we said north represents materialism. That's where the plenty, the bounty of the Jewish people is in the land of Israel. The north represents material plenty. South, Yerushalayim, and going south, represents the spiritual side of Eretz Yisrael.
Because I read something about the sinners not to be, too embarrassed.
I don't know what you read. Maybe you can show it to me later. Be very happy to look about it.
Saying that, he's saying why it's offered in the outside where the other mizbeachs are offered.
A regular chatat offering, and every offering, the blood is going to be put on the outer mizbeach. That's a chidush, that there's something called a chatat pnimit, that it's brought inside. That's for heavy sinning. And the work of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, also he brings blood inside the Kodesh. I want to get back to the text here, gentlemen. Now about some other laws of the chatat offering. It says in 19, HaKohen mechatei oto yachlem. We have a difficulty understanding the word mechatei. Gentlemen, are you about to enter into the surgical area? So everything has to be, you have to go through chitui, sterilization. Chitui, sterilization. No, we're not talking about sterilization. We're talking about what will make you spiritually sterile. Meaning, when we sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, that will sterilize you. That will atone for you. Kapara. 1 second, sir. That's called kapara, atonement. So the Torah uses here the word mechateh, because it's talking about the Kohen that's working now in the shift, and he's taking the blood to the altar, and it's like a chitui, it's like a sterilization, because it's providing kapara for who? The main part of this korban is not eating. The main part of this korban is bringing the blood onto the wall of the mizbech. When we're talking about a chatat chitzonit, an outside chatat, and not a chatat Pnimit, which is inside. So the one that's going to be sprinkling the blood, Yochalena. Do you hear this? He, as well as his fellow men working this day. Remember, the Kohanim are divided into 24 mishmarot. 24 groups of Kohanim. Each week, a group comes up. That group is divided into 6 batei av, 6 houses of fathers, where a group is working on each day. One group are going to working on Yom Rishon, another on Yom Sheni, Shlishi, and so on. Everyone else is in Hikon. Their beepers on. There might be traffic this day. They might be called to work again, right? So whoever's working that particular day, with the guy sprinkling, he gets to eat the meat of this mizbeah, of this korban. So my question to you, number one, we saw the law number one, halachot, shchita batzafon, right? You see it on the board in the writing in black. Law number two, nechelet b'chatzer. It's holy. It's kodesh kodeshim. You can't go outside either, like in the Beit HaMikdash times, inside the walls of Yerushalayim. It's not kodeshim kalim, rather it's kodshei kodeshim. Therefore, the meat of this that you're allowed to eat can only be eaten in the chatzer, which is inside the area of the Mishkan. Okay, so that's number two. Number three, a law that we learned yesterday. I didn't put it up on the board right now. Verse 20, Kol asher yiga b'vsara yikdash. Whatever food. Look inside, please. Verse 20. Kol asher yiga b'vsara. Anything meaning not plastic or metal, but any food that touches what? Her basar, the chatat, feminine, chatat, ha-basar shala. Do you see the bivsara with the hay at the end? Anyone that touches her basar, in verse 20, yikdash, it becomes holy. We learned this yesterday, the same concept, that if the taste of the chatat offering is absorbed in another food, that food receives the laws of that chatat offering, meaning it can only be eaten inside. It has a certain time limit that it can be eaten. You have to be in a state of purity, and so on and so forth. A new law, the second part of verse 20. Let's call the laundry department right now. When you're the Kohen, you aren't clumsy. You aren't making a mess, but it could happen, you know. You have this mazrik, you have this sprinkler, you have this blood, and you do this towards the mizbeh. And some, a new word in Hebrew, spritzed on you. Some spritzed on your lovely articles of begadim. Now, do you just send it out to the Yerushalayim cleaners in Kiryat Moshe? No. What does it say here? Vasher yizamemi dama ala beged, asher yize aleha tichabes b'makom kadosh. Law number, I skipped 3. We just talked about it orally. And number 4 is kibus, laundering. You're reading with me? I'm reading number 4 right now on the board. Kibus dam bebeged bakodesh. The laundering of the dam inside the beged can only be laundered where? Bakodesh, in the Kodesh area. You can't take it outside the Mishkan. You can't give it cleaning services. Where are you, Jaffa, King George? No, you can't call them to do this. Why? The Torah said so. The Kedusha permeates so much of these Kodshei Kodeshim. You asked, what was the concept? The word Kodesh Kodeshim. It permeates so much that it affects even if the dam of the Korban absorbed inside the beged. Where can that be laundered? Only inside the Mishkan can it be done. A new law, Pasuk Kaf Aleph, 21. Uchli cheres. Today we often write cheres in Hebrew with a samech. But here we're talking about pottery. As you know, pottery is made out of earthenware. What is it called? Like porcelain today? Is that what they call pottery? Porcelain? Okay. Do you remember the war against the Midyanim? The book of Bamidbar, chapter 31. After defeating the Midianites and doing revenge to them for submerging the daughters, the men of Israel, we went to war, and then we took their cutlery, and we took their pots and their Westinghouse dryers and their MP3. We took all those things home for booty. We learned there the laws of koshering, the laws of kashrut. We took their unkosher dishes, made out of any one of 6 metals. There, if I'm not mistaken, 6 metals are mentioned. There's av, kesef, nechoshet, bedil, and so on and so forth. And then we learned that as it as it absorbs an unkosher taste, so too will be the way that it will spit out or release the unkosher taste. That's only applicable in those 6 metals.
Yeah.
Porcelain, which you said is called pottery, made out of earth, is not
It's not, you
is
can't-
not a metal. Whatever it absorbs,
Doesn't release.
it cannot be released. So that's the basis, the foundation, that our porcelain cannot be koshered. It says here, and follow me the reading please, in verse 21, Uchli cheres, okay? Asher tivushal bo. If you're going to cook what? We're not talking about your spaghetti meatballs. What are we talking about? The chatat offering. So my question to you is, can the meat be cooked or it has to be broiled? What's the answer?
They first cook it and then they boil it.
No, I didn't say that. You see, are you imagining? I just want to know, can you cook meat of a chatat offering?
Yes.
Can you? Obviously, it says what? That if you're using a porcelain, asher tivu shalbo, that you cooked in it, yishaver. It has to be broken. Excusez-moi. What are you breaking dishes for? What is this, a continuation of breaking the window? Hey, what's going on? What's the answer?
Because it's holy?
And because it's holy, it can't be kosher? First of all, it can't be kosher. Why would you want it to be kosher? There's a time limitation for eating this korban and every korban. There's taste of the korban absorbed in the walls of the kli, in the pottery. If it cannot be koshered and time passes, it turns into a concept called notar. It's superfluous. It cannot be eaten. It's notar, right? There's a concept. Usually we burn meat of that time of a korban, that meat passes its time. But here, there's nothing to do. You must break it because we cannot take out the forbidden taste. It's a forbidden taste. You can't use it after that time. So here we learn a law number 5. No, I didn't put it in. That kli cheres cannot. Now I want to get to the second part of Pasuk 21. Please follow. Vim bechli nechoshet bushala. Levashel means to cook. If you used a kli made out of which metal? Nechoshet, which is copper. Copper is one of the metals. And you cooked in it. Now what's absorbed in the wall? The taste of the chatat offering. The time is about to pass. Let's say it's 1 day and 1 night to eat. I don't have it in front of me. But you won't be able to use this kli because there's a forbidden taste absorbed there. What do? Umorak, follow the last 3 words of 21. Morak is not marak soup. Umorak means to scour it. You'll call David Adler that knows how to clean dishes very well, who scour it, get all the external things off, and then shutaf b'mayim. Here, the oral Torah explains, it'll be rinsed in boiling water. Why boiling water? How was this clean nechoshet used? It boiled the meat offering, the meat of the chatat offering. So our oral Torah rule is, follow the next Hebrew expression, please. I'm reading it. It's not read, it's not inside. Here. Kiblio kach plitato. I repeat. Kibliato, the way it absorbed it, kach, so too, plitato, will it take it out. It absorbed this taste with boiling water. How will you kosher it? With boiling water, and it'll come out. That's what has to be done, and that's called, in the laws of Pesach, Hagalat Kelim. In many places, in every city, in Eretz Yisrael, there's a place opening 2 or 3 days before Passover. Usually the Ministry of Religion it provides it, sometimes cost a few shekels, and you do Hagalat Kelim for all metal dishes. What did you say?
You say that for the first kli, which is earthenware,
Right.
It says that if it's cooked, right? It doesn't say if it's boiled. It doesn't say.
You're right, but the oral Torah explains it was cooked and boiled, and therefore the taste was absorbed through heat of boiling water.
Okay.
But we can't kosher it,
Right.
and therefore it has to be broken and cannot be used, obviously. Don't be sorry, just be happy. Go ahead.
Hagala means like dipping.
L'hagi'il is to put the kelim in boiling water. And why do you first have to clean it?
So there's no gunk on it. so it's a smooth surface for it to get through all the
Smooth surface,
The
right?
goal is to get rid of the taste.
There cannot be any chatzitza, any interference. You got to remove rust and stains so that the boiling water touches every place and there's no interference. There's a similar concept when we go in the mikveh for tevilah. Okay, when a woman goes into the mikveh, her entire body has to be scrubbed. All knots have to be opened up so that water comes in direct contact with all parts of the body. This is a similar idea regarding haga'alat kelim. Next, Pasuk Kav Bet 22, we're going on. The food of a chatat offering is available only to who? Kol zachar b'kohanim yochalata. Only the males of the kohanim. Kodesh kadeshim he. We'll ask Mr. Wiedemann, why is he used here and not who?
because it's feminine.
And because of which word, sir? Do you understand my question, gentlemen? Why does the Torah say Kodesh kadeshim he? Why didn't you just say Kodesh kadeshim who? No. What is this? An adverb of? What are we describing here? The chatat. Chatat is masculine or feminine? Excellent. Okay. Last pasuk of this caption here. Follow, please. Kaf Gimel. V'chol chatat. In every chatat offering, asher yuvami damah el oel moed. If you're going to bring the blood inside the tent, meaning the area called the kodesh, L'chaper b'kodesh, in order to atone, lo te'achel. You can't eat it then. But ish tisref, what concept is this Torah talking about? So the difference of opinion between Rashi, who brings the midrashic halacha from the Gemara, and Rashbam, the grandson of Rashi, who goes according to very often just a simplistic understanding. Let's go according to Rashi. He's older. He's grandpa of Rashbam. So Rashi, in the name of Chazal, says that if you took over here, all your eyes over here, if you took the blood of a chatat chitzonit and you brought it inside to the Oel Moed, you invalidated it. You invalidated it. Now this korban is pasul, invalid. Why? Because the blood is not earmarked to be in the Oel Moed. That's only for the chatat pnimit that we learned about last week. Yes? But this is a chatat chitzonit. Has to be bachutz, on the outer altar and not the inner altar. Therefore, lo te'achel. The Kohanim will not get this kickback as what? Food to eat. Basar. Why? It was invalidated. That's what, from here, one second, please, it was bothering me, last night I was trying to learn this, that we're not told exactly what's done with the blood. But we can understand from this pasuk that the blood has to be outside and not inside. Okay, the Torah didn't say, like it says regarding the Asham offering. So it's one of the hints that from this pasuk, obviously the chatat chitzonit has to be outside, sprinkled on the outer altar, and not inside. Before I get to the Rashbam's point, what did you want to say, sir? Yossi?
It's a little bit confusing based on the wording. Is it saying that
after you slaughtered the offering, you, the Kohen, received the blood, you transported the blood, but you went inside to the shrine, to the the tent of meeting where the Kodesh is, where the Shulchan Menorah and the Mizbach Ketor is, and you started sprinkling it on there. You made an error. You made an error, but this error invalidated the Korban.
So the sin offering becomes
invalid. Would you please call up Nachman? Would you please tell him the bad news that the Kohen muffed it? he brought it inside. He's a human being. He made a mistake.
Right.
That's going to cost him thousands of shekels. Why?
Because
It's pasul. What is he going to have to do? He's going to have to replace it. That's it. These are intricate laws. Although the Rashbam says, I want to share with you as well, the Rashbam says the following, that we're talking about a chatat pnimit. So if we're talking about a chatat pnimit, what's the problem of bringing it inside? Huh?
There's no problem.
There's no problem. So why isn't it eaten?
Because it's all burned?
Very good. That's what we learned last week. The Rashbam says this pasuk in Pshat, the simple meaning, is talking about a chatat pnimit. And the blood has to be brought to where?
inside.
Pnima, inside. And those korbanot, those chatot pnimiyot, they are not to be eaten because they're so holy.
You can't get any benefit.
No benefit out of it. That's right. Okay,
He just doesn't correlate this verse to what we just read.
you're right. He says like the pshat of this verse is not reflecting a regular chatat chitzonit. Okay, we're now ready to continue our voyage. Perek Zayin, chapter 7. We're going to do this a little quicker. After learning about Torat Chatat, we're going to learn about Torat Ha'olah. Is that correct? Yes, so why don't we put in purple writing Torat Ha'olah? Can I? Can I add? Torat Ha'asham. No, now we just did. 1 second. Torat Ha'asham. Okay. Did anyone notice or learn in the end of his learning of the parsha last week, for what matter could a guilt offering be brought? 2 pieces of meat are in front of me. One is kosher. The other is a chalev. What is a chalev? I didn't say chalav. I said chalev. What? Forbidden fats. Those forbidden fats, Mr. Ariel, are punishable by karet. I had one of those 2 platters of meat, but I don't know what I ate. Did I eat the kosher meat? Or did I eat this meat, which is an isur karet? I have a safek. What's a safek? I have a doubt. In that case of a doubt, the Torah says, bring this guilt offering. Be clean on every side. That's usually what an Asham offering is brought. It's one of several matters. I want to go quickly through the Asham offering. Please go with me, chapter 7, verse 1, and we're reading going forward. Again, my plan is to delay very little here. V'zot Torah Asham, Kodesh Kadashim, who? We'll ask Mr. Wiederman, why who?
Because Ha'asham is a masculine.
Beautiful, beautiful, as opposed to Chatat, which is feminine, right? By the way, the Torah has been writing the word he with a vav, as if it's like who. It's the same thing, no? Let's go on. Bimkom asher yishchatu et ha'olah, the same place where they're slaughtering the olah, yishchatu et ha'asham. Where is that? Where is that? No, where are you going to do the shechita? I know outside. Where? Which side? North. Thank you. V'damo yizrok al mizbeach saviv. You hear it? There are going to be 2 sprinklings of blood on 2 perpendicular corners of the mizbeach. By doing so, blood will be spilled on all 4 sides of the mizbeach. That's learned from the word saviv, which usually means around. But here it means 2 corners, perpendicular, and by doing so, all 4 corners. We're going forward. Verse 3. Vet kol chelbo yakriv mimenu, the chalev, we just talked about, David. Chalev. It'll be brought closer onto the mizbeach. The fats, these chalavim, are to be placed on the mizbeach. Et aliyah, I'm not going to get now in the anatomy. Vet hachelev mechaset ha'kerev, what else? The kidneys, vet shtei ha'klayot, and the chalev, vet hachelev hashalem, and the chalev that's on the kidneys. Asher laksalim, vet hayoteret ala kaved, by the liver. Ala kalot yisirena. Let's go on. Pasuk 5. We don't have time right now to delay with this. Please excuse me. Viktirot ha'makohen ha'mizbecha. Those parts have to go through haktara. We said yesterday, surprising some of you, the verb laktir means to burn. To burn. Okay, laktir is to burn. So the mizbach haktoret is called mizbach haktoret because there's a fire. They're burning the incense, the besamim. But remember, laktir means to burn. Viktirot ha'makohen hamizbecha isha l'Hashem. It's for the sake of God, a fire for God. Ashamu. That is the ultimate. Listen to me. The sprinkling of blood and the bringing of the said parts on the mizbech. That is the main part of the korban. The main part of the korban is not the eating. Although we're going to learn a concept that when the Kohanim eat, they're eating from the table of God. And they're meriting to be doing some holy eating. But the main part of the korban of a chatat and an asham is not the eating. It's the sprinkling of blood and the burning of the said parts atop the mizbeach. Who's going to be eating this? Verse 6 and 7. Kol zachar ba kohanim yochlenu. Only the males of the kohanim, we said. Where? B'makom kadosh yachel. Kodesh kadashim hu. You see Rashi in verse 6. I have a problem. Why is the Torah repeating the concept? Kodesh Kadashim Hu. Look what Rashi says with all due humility. Rashi says in verse 6, B'torat Kohanim Hu Nidrash. Rashi says, I have the same problem. I don't understand why is the Torah repeating the term, but it says, don't worry. In the Midrashic halacha book called Torat Kohanim, you'll find Midrashic interpret. It doesn't bring one particular. I don't know why, but we're going on. Verse Zion. Yes, sir.
I'm getting a little confused because just in past the paragraph up to 5, it says that the Kohanim shall cause him to go up and smoke on the altar a fire offering to Hashem. It is a guilt offering, as in it gets burnt, doesn't get eaten.
No, it doesn't say. No, it doesn't say. I'm sorry. It doesn't say everything is going to be burned. The said parts above in verse 3 and 4, they will be burnt. That's what it means. Well, they're going to burn the said part stated in verse 3 and in verse 4. But by definition, if you read the next pasuk, it says there are parts that are going to be eaten. Verse 6, Kol zachar b'kohanim yochlenu. Every male of the kohanim, they can eat it. Where? B'makom kadosh. Do you follow? You see, if you put things together, obviously there are parts that are going to be eaten. Which parts are not eaten, rather burnt? That's stated here, all these parts right now. The fats that are stated here, and the kidneys, and so on and so forth. We're cruising. Pasuk Zayin. Kachatat. You see that kaf? What is that kaf doing at the beginning of the word? Look in Hebrew, gentlemen, everyone. Kaf. Kachatat. What is that kaf doing?
It's like
No, it's not because. Good try. Kaf, the prefix kaf is kimo. Very good. Just like. Excellent. Do you see that kaf, gentlemen? The prefix? Kachatat. Kasham. Just like the chatat offering, so too is the asham offering, meaning Torah achat lehem. Well, we put up on the board 6 halachot. The same 6 halachot will be applicable to the asham offering. Do you see it? Kachatat, ka'asham. Just like the chatat offering and its particular halachot, so too is the asham. The Torah is saving a lot of ink for 3,500 years. It's not going to write and repeat the laws. That's what God decided. HaKohen asher yichaper bo lo yeh. Who gets to eat? Who gets to eat the parts? The same Kohen that is doing the what? The Zrikat Adam. I think the most important thing is the Zrikat Adam. The others are bringing said parts upon the Mizbech, but the most important thing is the Dam. Instead of the Dam of the person that sinned being splattered, and God forbid his life being taken away, God has mercy and love, and we can bring korbanot instead. Do you follow? Instead. And therefore, the ultimate halacha that's so important is Zrikat Adam. When the Kohen doing Zrikat Adam, he's going to be able to get parts of the meat. Can he give it to his wife and daughters, yes or no?
No, only male.
Only males of the Kohanim. Yes, sir.
the dam is so important.
Because the dam is the nefesh. The dam is the nefesh. The dam, through the dam, does the nefesh, through the blood system is the nefesh in existence. And therefore, the taking out of blood is death. That's the most important thing here in Judaism. The dam is the nefesh, as it says in Bereshit in Genesis.
Is it just
The souls of
translation?
Jacob.
Because it says the hide, the Kohen offers the hide is the one it belongs to.
Kohen asher yichaper bo, the Kohen that is atoning, literally, and the one doing atonement is the one that is sprinkling the blood. He will merit to get the meat, and he can merit all his friends that are working in that guard duty that day or the other days of the week as well. So it's only talking about the Kohen that's actually sprinkling the blood. Okay, please look in verse 8. V'kohen makrivet olat ish. Olat ish. Or ha'olah sher kriv lakohen lo yeh. I have a problem here with the word olat ish. Are we not talking about a asham offering? Why is the Torah talking about olah? Do you see that word or not, gentlemen? I want it to bother you like it's bothering me. We're now in the middle of the section called Korban Asham, Torah Asham. And here, we're talking about or. Spell the word, please. Ayin Resh or Ayin Vav Resh. The skin. The skins are valuable. The skins are valuable. It says the Kohen that's makriv, that's bringing the korban, he's going to be getting the olat ish. And I'm asking myself, what is the olat talking about here? So one meaning is, I'm picking up 3 fingers. 3 are the animal offering names that are kochei kodeshim, and they are olah. Animal offerings are 3 that they're kochei kodeshim, and their names are slowly chatat, asham, and what was the first one you said? Olah. Orla is the foreskin. Orla is the closed up fruits of the tree in the first 3 years. Orla. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So I'm asking myself, in this pasuk we're talking afterwards, or Ola. Or the skin of the Ola offering. What's it talking about? We're not talking about the Ola offering. We're talking about the Asham offering. Yes or no?
Yes.
Does it bother you like it's bothering me?
Yes. Why is it talking about Allah when we're not talking about Allah?
Excellent. You want an answer?
Yes, please.
I think one answer is, I saw abroad in the name of the Dat Mikra, the Mossad of Cook edition of the Chumash, that the skin of the Olah offering serves as an example for all 3 Kochei Kodeshim offerings, that the law will be, the halacha will be, did I write it? Or Olah, who merits the skins of these animals? The Kohanim, as opposed to Le'umad, in contrast to a Shlamim offering. Shlamim offering, which we're about to learn, we only have about 10 minutes to learn it, that goes to the Ba'alim, owners. The Torah decided to maybe use the highest of Kochei Kodeshim, the Olah. Why will it be? I don't know if it's really more holy, but it's certainly more strict because no food is consumed, right? Everything is holy, WHOLLY, consumed on top of the Mizbech, right? No, there's no parts getting to the Kohen. So the Torah ushers in the middle of the Hasham section the concept Olat Ish. I didn't put it on the board, but it deserves to be on it because it's difficult to understand. The Olah of the man? What are we talking about the burnt offering? Answer. The burnt offering serves as an example for the 3 animal Kochei Kodeshim offerings. That maybe it's the most strict one. And who gets the skin? What does it say, the next part of the pasuk? Or ha'olah, or, not aleph with light, or ayin, or olah sherkriv, who does it belong to? They get kohanim. Wow, skins. They make clothing, they make coats. These skins are valuable. So here is another halacha that the Olah, Asham, Chatat skins all belong to Kohanim, as opposed to the Shlamim offering. The skins then will belong to the Ba'alim. What are Ba'alim? Owners. Questions, comments?
Why does the Kohanim need the skins?
They have mishpacha, they have a family. You want to have a nice leather jacket, man, to hang out at the shul, go to Beit Knesset with a nice leather jacket. What? You know what a good leather jacket costs? It's a nice, very leather jacket. So they have a lot of people, they have family, they have families, they have cousins, uncles, aunts. They can give out to anyone. Maybe they can sell it. I don't know. Doesn't say that. They're supposed to enjoy their world as well. Yes, Mr. Thomas.
The question is if they are even allowed to sell.
I don't think they're not. I don't think there's kedusha. You know, when is an animal skinned? The animal is skinned after the slaughtering, okay, and the blood is starting to be transported towards the mizbech. Then someone else with knives, they skin off the animal, and those skins are a gratuity to the Kohanim working in the Beit HaMikdash. Olah, Chatat, and Asham.
The skins can be given out to all.
I didn't hear the beginning of your words, so I'm sorry.
The skins
Go ahead.
can be given out to all the Kohanim, not just the one who performed the service.
I think it's the Kohanim working that day. It makes sense. Remember the mishmarot, the duties, the groups. 24 groups of Kohanim are divided across the country. Each group comes up for an entire week. Each group is divided into 6 subgroups. that gets a different day to work from Yom Rishon to Yom Shishi, everyone can be involved on Shabbat. So everyone that's working that day will get this gratuity, I assume. That's what I'm understanding. Are we ready now to skip to verse 11, 12, and 13? Everyone please read. I'm sorry that I have to pick up the pace, but I want to do this today. Yud Aleph, Yud Bet, Yud Gimel, Yud Daled. We're now coming to the new subject called Torah. I put it here, inside this, in this window, Torat Zevach. What here appears that didn't appear in the others? No, I know, but in the Zevach. Very nice. It bothered me also. What am I doing? All the others said Torat Chatat, Torat Hasham, Torat Olah, right? Why is the word Zevach? Now, usually, Lizboach is to slaughter. Usually, Lizboach is to slaughter. Yeah, to bring an offering. We have a tractate in Kochim called Mesechet Zvachim. The tractate called Zvachim, and it's talking there about all the different korbanot, all the different sacrifices. Here, I'm led to understand that it's talking about a meal. And therefore, I want to precede and tell you, as we're about now to learn about the Shlamim offering, which means peace. I didn't get to volunteer yet. Peace, it brings peace to everyone, or completeness. Shalemut, shalem. It could be shalom, and it could mean shalem and shalom. Completion. Yeah. So therefore, here we're going to talk about an example of a Shlamim offering. For instance, is a Pesach offering. God willing, the Mashiach will build the Beit HaMikdash. We're going to do in a month plus time from now the Paschal offering. It is a type of Shlamim offering. Do you remember? Is it Kodesh Kodeshim or is it Kodeshim Kalim? It's Kalim. Therefore, the laws are less severe. For instance, you get longer time to eat a Shlamim offering. It can be eaten outside the Beit HaMikdash area within the walled, the sanctified walled city of Yerushalayim, absolutely. But my dear friends, Chagiga offering, the holiday offering, is a type of Shlamim offering. But there's a volunteer offering. You want to just be close to God, but you want to get a piece of the meat. You can bring a Shlamim offering. Neder or Nidava. Have you heard of the words Neder or Nidava? Yeah. What's a Neder? Vow. A vow. I like the way you say vow. Okay. Okay, it's cute. A neder, you would say, it all depends on the language. I'm skipping to verse 16. Do you see the words, V'im neder o nidava? Neder, there's a certain rhetoric. There's a certain formula of words, how you take a vow upon yourself. Listen to the difference. A neder, you say the following words. Hare, behold, alai shlamim. Behold upon me, incumbent upon me, is to bring a shlamim offering. That's called a neder. Now, if you set aside an animal, and you meant to bring it and it got lost, what do I care? You have to bring another one. Because you said, Hare alai, you put the obligation alai on me. Whereas a nidava, a volunteer offering, not neder, the way you make a vow for a nidava offering, you say the following words. Hey, Betsy, come here. Hare, and you point to the animal. Hare zo shlamim. What did I just do? I designated, I sanctified that animal, very good, and it's shlamim. If Betsy got lost, am I responsible?
Yes.
Why not? Did I obligate myself, or I put the holiness on the animal? You notice the difference? Yeah. I said, Hare zo, this animal is shlamim. If it got lost, I'm not obligated to bring another one. But if I said, Hare alai, it's upon me to bring shlamim, and I had intention now to bring the one over there, and it got lost, then what's my law? I have to bring another one. That'll be the difference between a neder and a nidava. Now, did you go through the verses, my dear friends? Verses 11, 12, 13, and 14. This shlamim offering, the Torah says, im al toda. Toda Rabbah. For something good that God benefited you, you decide to express your graciousness, your hakarat tov, by bringing a shlamim offering in the form of a toda. Shlamim is the title. What type of shlamim offering are we talking about? A toda offering. Yes or no?
It's like a subcategory?
That's right. It's a category, it's a type of shlamim. And it has different laws. Because, my dear friends, 4 different kinds of breads are brought. Do you see? Chalot matzot, number 1 in the verse middle of 12. Then those are loaves of bread that are matzah, of course. Rikike matzot, the thinner wafers. Then number 3, solet murbechet, it's apparently boiled in deeper boiling oil, is a type of loaf of bread. And number 4, on the board, lechem. What? Did you in the Beit Hamikdash? Lechem chametz in the Beit Hamikdash. What's your question? Who can sophisticate the question a little more? What did we learn about chametz? Regarding what? Beautiful. Yeah. Regarding which halach, which korban? What are they called? Menachot. Menachot. Yes. Are we talking about menachot? No, we're not. Listen, please, for the short time that we have. I want to make it exciting. Korban Todah obligates you to tell the miracle that happened to you. Listen to this. Some of you, when you learn the laws of Hagomel with Rabbi Cohen or Rabbi Weinberg, I don't remember, we often bring the pasuk at the end of the blessing of thanks of the Amidah. Your attention here, please, on the board. The ending of the bracha of thanks, v'chol hachayim, and all of the lives, yoducha sela, shall give thanks to you, the Almighty, the Eternal. The word chayim, halachically later became an acronym for chet, chavush, someone's imprisoned by Gentiles. And he came out, he was bringing a thanks offering. That's chet. Yud, yisurim, affliction. God would low upon us sickness. And he became healed. That's the yud. The next yud, we talked about Moshe the other day. Yam. Come on, Moshe, be with me. Yam. You traveled over a sea. And the mem sofit, mem, you went over a midbar. In all those 4 cases, Chazal learned out from Psukim, based upon Tehillim, where the words Yodul Hashem Chazdo appears time and time again. Which Tehillim is that, Ruvain? Yodul Hashem Chazdo, that's like 100 and...
107.
It's 107?
Yes.
Thank you.
Psalms 21.
Thank you.
Verse 21.
So there we see Yodul Hashem Chazdo. He's learning from you. Yodul Hashem. Okay, very good. He has it down pat. Gentlemen, I want to summarize, but for the very short time we have. Torat Zevach Shlamim. The meal of the Shlamim for all Shlamim offerings, including especially a Todah offering. Ravid, a Todah offering, giving thanks. 40 breads, 10 each of 4 kinds. 3 are matzah, 1 is chametz. 3 types, 30 of them are matzah. 1 of the 4 is 10 of each, a sum total of 40 breads. And you have 1 day and 1 night to eat all of it. And the question we're asking, why? Why the quantity of breads? And why the short time? But before that, we must repeat what some of you beautifully said. I'm very proud of you, that when we talk about the lechem chametz here, we repeat, it is not a mincha offering. It's just breads that are not going to be brought upon thee. Rather, they're going to be eaten by all the invitees. Now we're going to understand. The great Netziv of Volozhin, Rav Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, okay, a colleague. Rav Kook was a colleague of him, and the great Yeshiva and Volozhin. And it's a wonderful commentary. He says this, and I like to end our shur today with quoting Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Berlin. He says I'm going to try to transliterate. Okay, I'm not going to read in Hebrew. I'm trying to transliterate English. Are you with me? Root to go? Yes, good. Got me? He says the purpose of the Todah offering is that it's coming to tell the miracle that God saved you, to tell the chesed of God that He bestowed upon you. Chayim, okay? Chavush, you were imprisoned. Yud, Yisurim, God forbid, you had affliction. The other Yud, you passed over the Yam, or the Mem is the Midbar, going over the desert. For this reason, that you want to tell the story of God's kindness to you, the Torah command you to bring so many breads, and yet limited the time you can eat it. Of all the other shlamim, you get 2 days and 1 night. Here, you're going to get 1 day and 1 night. Why? Can you come over with your wife and kids? Thank you. Can you come over with your uncle and aunt and children? I want to tell the story. And you're going to invite as many people as possible. Rent out a hall. Where?
In Yerushalayim.
In Yerushalayim, in the walled city of Yerushalayim. You're going to finish the shlamim. You're going to bring the meat out. I don't know if you're going to make a goulash or you're going to broil it. I don't know. That's up to you. And then what are you going to do? You're going to tell the miracle. Express your thanks to the majority of the people. And some of you know, the ones in English literature that would say the more the merrier, they really took it from Judaism. Because we believe, as King Solomon says, Reuven will probably tell you the source, I don't know it, Birov am hadrat melech. The greater the amount of people there are, the greater glory it is to the king. Okay? Birov am, rov in the word harbe, am. The more the people are there, the greater the glory is. And therefore, here in the courtyards of Yerushalayim, you, the benefactor of one of these miracles that you brought the Todah offering for, you're going to call out to God's name. You're going to say thank you to Hashem. And you're going to tell the story in front of as many people. And they're going to partake in eating the bread. They're going to partake in eating the meat. And that's called B'tochechi Yerushalayim. Hallelujah. Have a great day today, gentlemen.
Also,
Shalom
What
Koto.
about the wave? Don't they wave the